In urbanist online circles, people love asking all kinds of questions. Are rubber-tired trams good? How do you design a park properly? How is a crosswalk supposed to be done? But I like to ask the important questions on this channel. And my question to you today is Coconut Mall a well-designed mall? Now, Coconut Mall needs no introduction, appearing in various games from Mario Kart Wii in 2008 all the way as recent as 2022 with the release of Mario Kart Tour. It's known for its beloved music theme, which has been memed all over the place. Now, if I play it, I'm going to get an airstrike missile right through my roof, but you get the idea. Would it actually be a good mall in terms of design and feasibility? Well, to know that, we would have to look into mall design principles. Now, one of the first crucial principles of mall design is that a mall must be akin to a town square. Remember, the American-style mall was meant as a replacement for walkable areas after the huge suburbanization of America. This meant that the place had to be walkable, people had to be able to linger and hang out, go from storefront to storefront, and have a general gathering area, like a town square, right? And along it was also proposed transit among various other things, which didn't really pan out to be. Nowadays, most malls are actually dormant. It should be a place where people can linger. When I mean people should linger, it means that people should not treat it as a 7-Eleven. Walk in, get a Sprite, and leave. It should be a place where people meet up with friends, they walk around, sometimes not buying things. It should just be a place in general to relax. Call it a third place. And what else is needed is wide open spaces with natural light. Now, why should natural light and wide open spaces be needed? Also, along with some nature, some features of grass and potted plants. Ooh, fancy. The reason why that is needed is because we simply weren't really made for the things we do today. You know, no one is out in nature in the beautiful mountains thinking, man, you know what? I could really be sorting my emails right now. Next thing is that it should be accessible for all people. This goes without saying. Things like escalators, elevators, so people with wheelchairs and strollers can get around. Also, this yields higher profits because you have a wider catchment area and audience. Another feature is that it should be close to public transport, which some malls actually have metro stations within, which is really cool. And the reason why is because then you basically have a city connected by awesome little malls. And now a very crucial and important one is good tenant balance. You could have the coolest mall, the shiniest building, the best everything, but if it's all the same restaurant across all floors, no one's going to go there. No one's going to go there unless you have a bunch of people who are hyper-fixated on a Carl's Jr. But I can't really speak. But nonetheless, for the general audience, a good tenant balance is necessary. Clothing, movies, restaurants, you get the idea. You also want designs that make mobility easy. You want the least amount of friction possible. For example, stairs? No, make it an escalator so they don't have to think about walking up. Oh, long hallways and concourses? Put cool stuff, storefronts, activities, and natural light in, and walking across the concourse all of a sudden doesn't seem that difficult. When you make the process easier for the consumer, things will not seem as tough as they actually are. Now let's take a look at Coconut Mall and see how different it truly is compared to other American malls, and if it's any good. So firstly, you look on the outside, you have a lot of colors. This is a very tropical place. You can tell it's meant to invoke happiness, relaxation. It's themed like a beach. You have bright blue skies, you have these orange tones, these green tones. It's all very tropical. One of the details that has always astounded me upon entrance, well, it is obviously a kart racing game, but realistically, if you enter, these are some very, very wide escalators. Now, I don't know if this is meant to accompany the average American or just many people lined up, but nonetheless, this is not standard. And another cool detail is that the escalator company is not the likes of Schindler, Mitsubishi, Otis, companies very well known for this type of mobility. No, it's made by a company called Coconut. Yes, Coconut, like Coconut Mall. I don't know what the connection is there. Maybe Coconut Mall was a creation by Big Coconut to sell more coconut escalators. There really needs to be an investigation on like Mario's fiscal part in this. Another cool thing you'll notice is also that the signs have a standardized design. Now this already gets plus points from me. Why? It's because you want a standardization. Now, albeit the signs are all exactly the same, just copy and paste it everywhere. But having consistent colors, having consistent geometries and typefaces makes the place feel more streamlined and organized, like it's actually part of a single building. Because, you know, people always put a better sign instead of just print something and paste it against a window. Also, scale is important. All these things culminate into good sign standardization, and it makes the place feel professional and nice. And that's something that I really respect from Coconut Mall. Now, in walking through, you have nice wide concourses with storefronts just lined up. You could go to many different stores, and we already see a good amount of tenant diversity. You can see all the different kinds of places you can go to. It's not all super uniform. And as I said earlier, this is one of the good principles of mall design, so a plus point for them. Once you reach a certain point in the mall, you'll reach this break called Coconut Garden, which perhaps can reset the mind from a shopping process. It'll start you back from zero when you continue, thus making you spend a longer time in the mall, so that's a plus. And secondly, you have a great, nice open sky. You have a nice tiling, or you could say cobbled floor, which makes you feel like you are in an old town square in a Mediterranean location perhaps, and a wonderful fountain. So overall, this is a great courtyard. I don't have much wrong with it. And on top of that, you also have restaurants and other areas within, which makes it not only just a plaza for relaxing, but also a plaza for shopping in a nice outdoor sunny environment. Another cool part about Coconut Garden is that you can see Coconut Garden from other parts in the map. You go from one side, you can see Coconut Garden. You go from the other side, you can also see Coconut Garden. It's kind of this median between two ways. And it's cool to see how this design molds together. It doesn't feel very separate. Another plus point for Coconut Mall is the central dome area. Now, this is really popular among malls, especially some malls designed in later days. You have a big central plaza area with all the floors leading up to this hollow point. And then you look upwards, and there is an area with glass. It's a cupola. This lets in a lot of natural light, and it creates a sort of indoor town square. Here you can see concerts, conventions. Other events are typically held in this area. Also, there appears to be a fountain in this main area with the dome. And putting a fountain in indoors is something quite impressive, and that adds a lot of plus points, a lot of novelty. And also, there's an interesting experiment with crowd control. When you have a large open area, it actually suits it better to have a few obstacles in between, like benches or fountains. It kind of creates the sense of, I need to think out my route, but it's subconscious. And that's perfect. So many plus points. But it isn't all coconuts at the Coconut Mall. Can insert the laugh track. Insert. Thank you. It isn't all coconuts at Coconut Mall, because when you go back outside, you have a huge surface parking lot. Now, this is expected, but my issue is that it's not really integrated with the humanity of people going in and out of the mall. For example, you look at the side exits. You have to walk all the way around this grass barrier to access the parking lot. How about just make a shorter path that cuts through? Because I assume people are already doing that, but it's more difficult to do that when you have a shopping cart full of things. So that was a huge mistake in hindsight. But going back inside into that central area I mentioned earlier, you will see that there is a platform. It's not the bottom floor. Now, this is something typically not seen in malls, because typically you have just the lowermost area, and then you look up into the skylight. Now, the reason why this is because it makes the area feel taller. Why would you make the main plaza closer to the skylight? Then it doesn't feel so much like a big, grand hall. But secondly, a huge minus here. When you look underneath, there's no escalator going to the bottom floor. You cannot access this bottom floor very easily. Those businesses down there are probably not seeing the same activity as elsewhere. And speaking of escalator access, there's another issue. When you enter the mall and you keep going forward, there's this dead-end hallway. And instead of having some mobility at the dead-end hallway, you have to walk all the way back to where some hallways intersect and go down the escalator. Not only does this result in a lot of people probably U-turning and causing crowding on the escalator, but also, come on man, it creates a mental block. You have to have an escalator at the ends of your hallways, or at least another route, not a dead end. You want flowiness, right? That's the difference between an intersection and a traffic circle. Slow, constant movement. You don't want to stop and turn around and do all this weird stuff. And now we can see various other types of stores. For example, the infamous Delfino Dream Store, which is used in the shortcut route of Coconut Mall. Not that crazy broken shortcut, but you know, the one when you're 5 and you trick your friends. Ha! I cut through the Delfino Dream. Now my route is 5 seconds quicker. This seems to be a fancy clothing outfitter. You can see the suits, you can see everything else. And speaking of clothing, actually, this is from my store, urbanitee.shop. It just launched. We have the train stuff, we have the Tatra stuff. Head over there. I've spent a really long time working on this. There's a lot of lore behind it, by the way. It's quite interesting. I also have shirts and other designs, which are pretty affordable. I've tried my best to make them cheap. I think you'll enjoy it. So if you want to support the channel, do that. Join the Discord, follow the Instagram. Thank you so much. Now, another weird thing are these metal U-turn stairs. Now, I can't really equate this to anything in real life. It seems a little strange. I guess you have to justify turning the mall into a racing course somehow. There has to be something odd you have to put in there. But nonetheless, they made it fit in okay. I guess you could see them as big stairs that you go up. And the other levels also contain an okay amount of stores. You know, it's a pretty standard mall. But overall, I mean, the facade looks like a regular US mall. Also, you have a lot of foliage for a mall. That's very, very good to see. And compared to other US malls, it doesn't have a major difference, but you have so many benefits, which are probably because of the geographical location, which I presume is in somewhere with good weather, due to the coconut garden, the fountains everywhere, the nice big arch entrance. Now that's something also nice. Typically a lot of malls don't have these big arch entrances. It's just doors you walk into. So that's a plus point. And also along with that, I think the escalator leading up into the mall, it could be seen as a mental block. But when you go up somewhere and then you see the hugeness of a hall above you, it really adds to that build-up. And as you exit, there are pleasant arches with the text, "Thank you," on them. Now in conclusion, it's a mall with a lot of parking spaces, quite a few average design blunders, especially that central hall platform bottom floor thing, which is really weird. But I think it is a pretty solid mall. What I will say though, is that I couldn't find bathrooms, man. How am I supposed to be at the mall and have no bathrooms? Oh, what are you going to do? What, hire more janitors? Yeah, that's a huge minus. So anyways, Coconut Mall, despite its lack of bathrooms, I would rate it a 7 to 8 out of 10 in mall design. Because for a race course, it is just done so well. These guys really knew what a mall was like when designing a mall racing circuit. And you would think that it would be a lot less detailed, but if you turn this into a mall from a racing course, I think it would do quite well. If you guys want me to analyze the design factor of fictional places like this, please let me know in the comments, because these videos are actually pretty cool and I enjoy making them. So, last but not least, like and subscribe. I love you all very much. What? And of course, I try to read every comment. And let me know what you think in the comments below. I will try my best to read every comment. I'm the Transit Diaries, and as always, stay tuned for more.